ladies and boys and girls and people of all persuasions, locations, and derivations. Monette is always willing to devote her experience and energy to support those who want to pinpoint their life's passions and personal strengths, bringing clarity to their goals and purpose. Now, that says a whole lot. So listen carefully here. She helps them focus on whom they desire to become in the future, not now, but in the future. And she steers people, especially women, towards recognizing their gifts. She continually searches for opportunities to make a difference in others' lives. Part of this is partnering with women in business. Monette loves coaching those who are ready to pivot and take the next step towards a different, exciting, sometimes scary stage in their lives. And I hope because I'm a guy, I'm not excluded from this, because if so, I'd be very upset. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about the power of community love, the amazing, the fabulous Monette Tovarada. Yay!
Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for being here, and I am going to go ahead and share. I'm going to put a PowerPoint presentation here. Please let me know if you can see this.
Oh, there we go. I see the crowd. I see the crowd. They all came to watch you. My goodness, this is pretty amazing.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Wouldn't you agree that community has been lost this days 2021? Why would I say that? So how many of you have recently connected with your neighbor and been able to, walk to their house and maybe borrow a cup of sugar? Remember those days? Or even walk down the street to hear the kids playing and dogs barking in your neighborhood. How about getting together with friends and going wine tasting? I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Napa's not too far. That's a vineyard. So we go there wine tasting. There is a lot of different kinds of community. And also, community can change you, and it can also alter your perspective on life. Community, for example, could be a community. I'm a single person, a community of single people, a community of married couple, total opposite, community of equal rights, all kinds of different community. Even people who are in prison are in community, right? If a prisoner does something bad, they are isolated as a punishment of being makes them feel really disconnected. So COVID has broken us apart. Everyone, every day we need to be connected, to be a part of some type of community. It's human nature to want to be a part of something, right? In the movie Castaway, how many of you have watched the movie Castaway? This is Tom Hanks. That's his character. He's stuck in a deserted island after a plane crash. He found Wilson. Wilson is a brand ball name, and he would talk to this ball because he needed a friend. Community is so important. What community? So let me ask you this: what community were you a part of before COVID? What did you miss about your community? Most of us become part of this community coming up in the state called the IRS community that's coming up in April, right? In a moment, I'm going to share how community can empower all of us. Hi, everyone. Ken was saying, my name is Monette Tovarada, and I believe we all want to be connected and communicate and build relationship. I also believe that we are all here for a reason, right? To help and serve each other. Thank you for allowing me to serve you today. World Love Week, oh my gosh, it's just a week, but this is what the world needs now. Why can't we extend it forever, right? World Love forever. Ken is awesome in what he does. He has such a big heart. Well, since we're going to be spending a little time together, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a transition coach and a trainer. I also founded this community called Business Women's Community, where women in business, we meet and help and support each other, not only professionally, but also personally as well. Women are more powerful when we work together. It's pretty awesome. You know, there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it really cares about. Margaret Willey. We are in a time where most of the worlds are being held hostage by coronavirus. It is a time when we are forced to be apart or distant from another, even though we need each other. You know, right now we need each other more than ever. It's a time that we can't be together. You know, schools are closed, jobs are being lost, homes are, you know, more broken than ever, and businesses are shutting down daily. But you know, one thing comes to my rescue, though. One thing serves as a ray of light in what seems to be a never ending dark tunnel, and that is the community in which we find ourselves. I did my own, I conducted my own survey and to discover, wanted to know how people are surviving during COVID 19. So, what I found was 59% ranked family as being the most supportive. 24% said that it is friends that's most supportive, and 17% discovered others as other community being really supportive. Helen Keller once said, like it says there, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Together, the power of community, it just really can't be overemphasized. Briefly, I'll be sharing with you my experience as an immigrant when I came from the Philippines, how difficult it was for me to find my place in society, how I felt and what I did to change that experience. You know, I was 7 years old when I first arrived in the US. I first came with my mom. She had a professional visa. My siblings and my father came afterward. This isn't a picture of my family. It was a picture I found. I was trying to look for one, but I couldn't. So this is something I found on the internet. And, you know, when we came here, I didn't have any friends and I felt so all alone. I didn't have a place where I felt I belonged, nor was I able to really hang out with somebody my own age. I miss my sibling. There's four of us in the family, two boys and two girls. I just really, I cried a lot, not knowing what was going on. I had no friends to, you know, to keep me company. Again, it was just my mom and I. And I knew I had to do something. I would have to build my own community. I would have to learn how to pretty much do everything on my own. Um, I eventually started making friends in school and in our neighborhood. It made me feel, oh my gosh, a lot better. Now I have somebody, you know, I can hang out with and do, you know, what kids do, kids stuff. Some of those friends, believe it or not, ever since it was elementary, they are still my friends now, which is pretty great. Um, but you know, as a result of this experience, the seedling of an idea about the importance of community began to grow within me. We all know some type of loneliness in our lives. And we're not, you know, we're not meant really to be alone, to do things on our own. When I founded Businesswomen's Community, we used to meet face to face, which was great. We'd have guests. The guests would feel really welcome because it's a wonderful group of women. But now we meet virtually, and you know, even though it's virtual, you could still sense people's vibration energy through virtual meeting, just like right now. The group have developed, there's a trust in each other. We help each other grow and knowing that you're not alone. This community, Businesswoman's Community, has helped, you know, it has helped me with my business in areas of growth and collaboration. Sharing feelings is very more fulfilling. Being excited about just meeting women, even though it's virtual right now. Some of us are just at home, but just being able to connect with other people, it's awesome. I feel more confident knowing that I'm not alone and have somebody to talk to. Having your own business is not really easy, right? We have family and friends sometimes we could talk to, but unless they have their own business, it's really difficult for them to understand when you say, I've been working on this client, last minute they canceled, or they didn't show up. And just having other people that you can talk to, it's such a help. They understand the challenge of being a solopreneur. And for example, I was as I was saying, and also this group of women, some are just starting out, other women are very seasoned. Those who are just starting out can learn, and they can mentor them and help some of the errors that they made, mistake in being business. It's so important if you can find a mentor or a coach to help you with whatever you're going through in life. And so they can help you overcome some of those hurdles. Some of the women there, they have, I really promote collaboration, and collaboration is awesome. Couple of the members have collaborated, and one of the members had a home in Monterey that is about 60 miles south of San Francisco. It's a beautiful area near the beach. And what they did was they did skincare, yoga, massage on the beach. So they did a weekend retreat. And that's what happens when you have a community. People will collaborate, do something together where they can invite family and friends with them. So lessons, when my mom and I were alone, right? And moms alone, it's harder. But when they're in a community, it's so much easier for moms. How about solopreneurs? When solopreneurs are alone, had the name solopreneurs, but if you're in a community of other entrepreneur, it's so much easier. You're in a community of like-minded individuals, so much easier. Let's start with my definition of what community is. Community is a solar unit with a commonality such as norms, religion, value, custom, or identity. Community may also share a sense of place situated in a given, geographical area. It could be a virtual space, as I was saying earlier, through communication platform. Each and every one of us belongs to a community, a society, whether it's at a family level, it could be wherever you are, village, town, city, schools, or the world at large. But it's the relationship you have with a member of the community you belong to that determines how you feel. That is what determines whether also or not that you're feeling welcome. The community has helped me, as I was saying, in business in areas of growth and collaboration, sharing feeling of fulfillment, being excited about doing business, feeling more confident knowing that I'm not alone. It's very awesome. Having your own community is not easy, and this community has helped me a lot as I was in business women's community. And uh, what we did was hold on, we created the women's community, as I was saying. We had created a book, and this book is called Women Can. It's a collaborative effort because what we did is you can order it online. 100% of the proceeds of the book, it goes to a nonprofit. Again, this is a contribution support, and the book, again, entitled Women Can. And it's pretty awesome because I think it's really important in giving back. So in this book, these are women that will tell you that is part of businesswomen's community, some of the challenges they went through in life to be where they're at. And it feels so good to be able to give back to nonprofits. We do give back nonprofit. There are local in San Francisco Bay Area. A lot of them are women that have gone through some challenges in life, let's say. So how do you create a community? You could create a community. You can start off maybe as easy as having a book club or maybe a book in gardening, right? For example. So you can, and it's really easy if you want to do a book, read a book in regards to, gardening. You don't even really need a house. It's pretty simple. You just need a pot, some soil, and some seed. And you could meet, weekly, whatever you want to do, to set up a virtual meeting with this community or whatever other kind of community that you want to create. There's also Meetup if you don't have your own. And in meetup.com, you can search whatever your interest might be. It doesn't have to be difficult, right? Whatever you like, and it's whatever interest you might have, but just start if you don't have one, right? How aware are you in your community? Do you know what it's about? The need for connection and community is primal. It's a fundamental as the need of, our air, food, water, as Dean Ornish would say. Community awareness often refers to a degree to which people generally know about each other, about social norms, people different roles within the community, as well as issue that might affect the community. A wise man once said, if your absence is not missed, then your presence was never needed. You need to make yourself known in any community and you find yourself in, to the point that when you're not around or when you're away, your presence will be missed. When I was young, living in the Philippines, I remember my grandfather. When he would come over, the kids in the neighborhood would come around, just like this picture. They would gather and sit around my grandfather. Of course, I would sit in his lap, and he would share his wonderful stories of adventure. We'd heard some funny stories that make us laugh, and sometimes he would tell us some scary story. I remember him saying, if you don't listen to your parents or behave, one evening, a bat will fly in front of you and turn you into a bat. During these times, there was about 8 of us. But you know what? There was always these two siblings who'd always start a quarrel in the middle of my grandfather's story for whatever reason. My grandfather would stop in the middle of the story and say something encouraging to the two quarrelers. And my friends would look at them, and the Sue sibling would look at each other and start laughing. And after that, they got along just fine. There was, something about those stories, those moments in time that would pull us together quite strongly. Looking back, I now realize my grandfather and the neighborhood kids were part of a community. I'd like to talk about another person, Jane. Jane is actually, she is my brother-in-law's mother. In the late 70s, early 80s, she was a top woman in her field of finance. But back then, it was a man's world. She struggled because she was working in a male-dominant field. Every day, she had to deal with being told she couldn't do her job because she was emotional, couldn't think critically, too feminine. She was a mother and told that she should be home taking care of her children, and so on and so on and so on, right? You know, women didn't get promotion without really working hard for them. The inequality of the situation was unfair. She had to prove herself day in and day out, not only to the men in leadership, but also to herself. But she managed to do it. However, she didn't do it alone. She needed help. She couldn't work 9 to 5 and be there for her kids, especially while being a single parent in the 1970s. In the word of Oprah, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. A successful woman, we need to prioritize what we want and make hard sacrifices. We have to rely on others to help us achieve our goal and even cover some of our responsibility. Jane started to build a community to support her. She found her people, if I could call it, or friends, and got them in place. She'd ask her neighbors to help her with her kids, after school, her mom to keep home clean and cook meals, her friends to keep her motivated, as I was saying that earlier, and confident during those tough times. Those types of relationships are how Jane was able to break the pattern at her workplace and become a trailblazer in her industry. Not because she was special, no, or she was a genius, but she had a community, her people to cheer her on, to help her be a good mother and help her build her business skills. But you might think, I'm not good in groups. I'm a loner, or I just want to do it alone. So I'm going to give you 6 reasons not to do it alone. Collective wisdom. No one person ever has all the answers. And regardless of the amount of Google foo you may have, consulting with expert is always going to give you better information. Second one, pushing our limits. When working alone, it's oftentimes too easy to give up when things get hard. I can totally relate. But surrounding yourself with others working towards similar goal or objective, you'll get motivated, support, and friendly competition. That's always good to push yourself just a bit further when you wouldn't have done it on your own. 3, support and believe. Some days those goals just seem impossible. On those days when you want to give up, this is when you need to lean on your community the most. They believe in you, probably more than you believe in yourself. We need this at times. 4th, new ideas. I truly believe that when you are working within a community of like-minded people, the wisdom of other considerably greater than one person going it alone. Our divergent worldviews and ways of looking at the world mean we all approach the exact same problem, slightly different. Borrowed motivation, yeah. Even on those days when your belief in yourself isn't waning, doing what needs to get done can seem overwhelming. Looking around your community can be inspired. Accountability partner. I know when you're an Uber respond person, you may not want to admit to the people you care about and who's also pulling for you that you didn't do something that you said you'd do. So there's just there's nothing like having an accountability partner to up your game. You know, allowing others to help is difficult for some of us, but it ultimately raises everyone's game. And suddenly, that summit isn't nearly so far off, especially in such a time as now. So, a couple of brief tips. How to, locate, how can you find a community? As I'd mentioned earlier, they're actually all around us. If you haven't found a community yet, then there's a couple of things that you can do just to create one. Communication leads to community. That is to understanding to intimacy and mutual valuing. I started my own community by communicating more with people that I came in contact with, made friends with my neighbor, became interested in them, also showing genuine care. And in no time, the care and attention and love that I showed were reciprocated, and I began to feel welcome. And what else can I say? There was a time in my life I really didn't feel connected. I was in an abusive relationship. It was really a challenging time in my life. I was emotionally checked out and physically exhausted. Fortunately, my community helped me overcome the fears I had about leaving my relationship. At that time, the care and love they had for me was priceless. Have you had a similar experience? It's worth repeating. The greatest of community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its member. Aside with my community, businesswomen's community, I've always promised myself that in a world of algorithm, hashtag, social media followers, I would never forget the importance of human connection. That is that has helped me in my life journey. Again, there is power in community. Remember, we all stumble and fall at times. Every one of us. That's why it's comforting. It's comfort to be able to go hand in hand. There you go. Thank you for being here. Yay.
Muted. There we go.
I said, I can't hear you, Ken.
I was, yeah. And then I went to click the unmute button. And then of course I hit another window altogether. That was
fine.
wonderful. Thank you so much. You are awesome.
Yay,
You're a wonderful light that always brings joy to those that are around you. God, I sound like I'm preaching here, but it's true. It's always, Monette is part of our safari program, and it is always fun to have her in the room with us, because when she made a really good point, and that is that you don't matter unless you're missed, which I think was really a very interesting thing, and I hadn't thought about that. If you're not missed, then so it does really make a difference. Monette, I want to thank you. You are a light. You are awesome. I love you to pieces.
Love you too, Ken. Thank you.
So everybody, that was the amazing Mobrat Torado. Salama. So there you go. So, all right. Up next, we have more World Love Week to continue. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hang on. We have more World Love Week coming up.
I stand for love. Do you?
Hey, this is Captain Lou, and I stand for love, baby. Do you?
Do you?
Do you? Yes. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you?
Upcoming next is the amazing, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous, Tony. Absolutely
It took
amazing.
all morning to get ready.
No. Look at all the love behind you. This is stunning. Absolutely stunning. I want to introduce right now the incredible Tony Gittles. And let me just find your intro right over here so I can do this professionally. And I'm looking at someone else's bio. I don't want to introduce you as Jill Lublin. I want to introduce you totally as Tony Gittles. This is so funny. You're going to learn today how to communicate and serve your family caregiver clients, should you be in that business, because Tony is a certified caregiving consultant. She's an educator, international speaker, #1 best-selling author, and former instructor at the Baylor College of Medicine. Since taking care of her mom for 14 years, she's understanding the emotional, mental, and physical challenges of being a caregiver. Tony started Heartlight Enterprises as a tribute to her mom, as she saw a need to educate, support, and mentor family caregivers. She brings love, heart, and light to every conservation and conversation, as a matter of fact. Helps if you read that right. And she helps individuals find solutions to their challenges and find meaning in their caregiving journey. Tony helps businesses and healthcare facilities create caregiver caring communities. Ladies and gentlemen, by the powers of technology, the amazing Tony Gittles. Happy Love Week.
Thank you so much, Ken. This is absolutely the perfect week for your program and for me to be here. Obviously, February is the month of love, but also Friday, February 19th, is National Caregiver Day. So this is exciting for me to be talking about caregiving and training businesses on how to interact with family caregivers.
How perfect.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. One of the things, well, you shared in my introduction about my experience with my mother. I never thought it was going to be a 14-year journey. One of the things about caregiving is it's a totally uncertain future. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that impacts individuals, as well as a little bit about my experience. But I do have a PowerPoint presentation, and I would love to get into that. And I have a lot of information to share with businesses about caregivers and why this is important to them. Oh, let's see, before I do that, I just wanted to say too, well, I wanted to acknowledge the crisis in this country. And I'm going to show our audience how to be part of the solution, how to become a leader in the community, but also prosper in business, because that's what this week is all about. And I'm not talking directly about the COVID-19 pandemic, although this pandemic is shining the light on what has been a relatively hidden problem to most people, to a lot of people. And I am talking about the 65 million people who are taking care of a disabled, chronically ill, or aging family member. Now, this is shocking, what I'm about to tell you. Surveys suggest that 30% of family caregivers die before the person they're caring for, and as high as 60% of those taking care of someone with Alzheimer's die first. So this is the reason we need to address the situation in the United States and actually everywhere. Okay. All right, here's my PowerPoint, and this is what a family caregiver looks like. It's what I looked like when I was taking care of my mom, my beautiful mother in those pictures, and a friend who became a support person for me and a caregiver to my mother. And here's another shocking fact. The picture on the left, she's 98 years old. And I took care of her until she was 100, until she died in 2017. Now, this is what a caregiver and a care recipient look like on a good day, not on a stressful day. Topic today is how to communicate and serve your family caregiver clients. Also, you can actually apply this information to yourself if you are a caregiver, to your employees, and it's good information for all individuals to understand. So I mentioned the scope of the problem. We're actually all in this together. we are likely to be caregivers at some time in our life, or we will require care ourselves. That's also a shocking statistic, and it's something that people don't realize, so they don't prepare to be a caregiver, and no one's taught them, in fact, how to prepare to be a caregiver. But that's part of my mission with my company. I'm going to talk about actions you can take in your business to encourage you to become a caregiver caring business. We're going to do that by having you learn about the caregiving experience, how to communicate and interact with caregivers. I can talk about the experience, but it's kind of like ballroom dancing. You can watch Dancing with the Stars and you can get excited and you can enjoy it. And then you can sign up for lessons and you can find that you're stumbling all over the dance floor. You don't understand the experience until you're actually there. But I'm going to do the best I can to describe this for you and what we go through as caregivers. Why do we need love and relationships? Because it's a struggle. Caregiving is an emotional journey for everyone, no matter how long the caregiving experience lasts. And they say, I've read a couple of studies, some say it's an average of 4 years, some say it's an average of 7 years. And when I read that it was an average of 7 years and I was in year 2, I kind of pulled my hair out because that's a long journey. That's a long experience to have that impacting your life. I'm going to talk to you about the stages of caregiving, and I give credit to Denise Brown, who has been a caregiving expert for years, interacted with caregivers, and wrote a book called The Caregiving Years, 6 Stages to a Meaningful Journey. So that is information as compliments of Denise. We're going to look at what surveys tell us caregivers need from a business. And then what I really want you to take away is actions that you can actually incorporate. And a lot of them are going to be simple and others are going to require a commitment and time. So how does caregiving usually start? Well, you know, people plan for vacations, they plan to go to college, they plan for having a baby, but people don't plan for becoming a caregiver. It's when a crisis occurs unexpectedly. Could be an accident on the freeway, it could be a healthcare issue, but people are suddenly thrust into a caregiving role. So what happens to that caregiver? Well, it suddenly impacts their time. It can impact their money, career plans, their future, their sense of freedom, because now they have to put attention on another individual. They're running their life, but they may be running the life of the other individual. Stress level, anxiety, this can be a 24/7 job and last on average 7 years. I know, although I eventually put my mother in an assisted living facility, the phone rang at all hours with emergencies. And the most popular hours I got a phone call were 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. So I really felt like I was on call all the time. And they were usually emergencies that required a visit to the emergency room. So any normalcy that we actually have in our life is completely interrupted, and especially at the crisis stages of the caregiving experiences. And that's what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Caregivers feel isolated. Here's the big one. They don't feel understood. And often their circle of friends decreases because people don't know how to interact with someone taking care of another person, because they disappear a lot too. They're not available all the time, but they do need help and they often don't ask for it. Caregiving is an emotional experience, and I just picked out some words that stood out for me, but there's a lot more. There's anger, annoyance, anticipation, despair, emptiness, fear, grief, guilt, helplessness, loss, sadness, confusion, worry. I am an only child. I felt somewhat obligated However, I had promised my mother to take care of her, and we had a loving, wonderful relationship. So I entered into it, with some anticipation and anxiety, but vowing and with the intention that I would create the best possible experience for both of us, that she would receive quality care, and that we would create enjoyable moments when it was possible. Questions that come up very often in the caregiver's mind are, am I doing enough? What's enough? I kept thinking, when's the next emergency? Because over 14 years, we were in the hospital a lot. We were in the emergency room a lot. And all of a sudden that day is totally disrupted. There could be unfulfilled expectations, no time for self, and self-care. And caregivers do experience a lot of health issues as a result of caregiving, because we put our care recipient first. And it looks like there's just no time to take care of ourselves. So the stress is phenomenal in most experiences. All right, I want to give you some information about the stages of caregiving and why is this important? Well, first of all, you may not know one of your clients or even employees is a caregiver because people still don't talk about it a lot. But trust me, you know caregivers. They are your extended family, your relatives, they're your neighbors, they're your friends, they are your employees and your neighbors. I actually didn't talk too much about my caregiving experience, even over those 14 years, although my closest friends knew I was caring for my mother. But they did not share with me that they had also cared for their mother. I actually didn't find that out till after Mom passed, and I started asking questions of people. And there were all sorts of stories, and these were closest friends that I had no idea about. So Denise DeBrown has broken this into stages, and in my mentoring with family caregivers, it really helps to break down the experience, again, because it can be long. It can be a long journey, but also the caregiving stages are designed with coping strategies, a lot of assistance in how do you be a caregiver? What should you be focusing your time on at any particular moment? And they're fluid and flexible. So you may find yourself in stage 3, and then you're back in stage 2, and then 3, and then 4. So I'm going to try to make some sense out of this for you. But we actually include a stage before you're the caregiver. We really say everybody is an expectant caregiver. You may be concerned that a family member or a friend will need assistance because of their age, a past or present health condition, or current living situation. I was well aware that my mom was aging, but I was living in California and she was in Florida. And until I got a call that she needed help because a doctor wasn't resolving her pain, it suddenly occurred to me how old she was and that time could be limited with her. So that got me into action and paying attention. She was very healthy up until the age of 85. So we were very lucky about that. But we did do some preparation in case I needed to become her caregiver. And in the expectant stage, the coping strategy is to ask questions of the person you think you're going to be taking care of. So in this case, my mother, and finding out as much as I could, and this can be difficult conversations, as much as I could about financial dealings, her legal documents, making sure they were in order, and also definitely getting information about her medical history as well as medications. I mean, every time you go to a doctor, you've got to fill out a history form. So what we did was create documents that had all that information, so it became less stressful to continue filling out those forms. So this is the early stage, and this is a stage where I can help people prepare to be a caregiver. The next stage is the freshman caregiver. You begin helping on a regular basis, weekly or a few times a week. You might be running errands, driving to doctor's appointments, for example. You might actually be helping manage the household, paying bills, and maybe even hands-on care. I kind of came in at the freshman stage because I flew from California to Orlando to take my mom to the doctor and find out why she wasn't getting the help she needed. The doctor actually didn't help much. He told my mom that he couldn't help her, that she was getting older, and what did he expect her to do? That kind of blew us away. We expected you to kind of solve her pain problem. He really wasn't cooperative, and we wound up changing doctors because you cannot have people on your team that are not giving you their full attention and their full resources. I actually asked him to refer me to a gerontologist, and he said, I see old people all the time, so I don't need to do that. Okay, that's a horrible story, but it was shocking at the time, and I realized I had to be proactive and be an advocate for my mother and find resources that I needed. The next stage of caregiving is part of the middle stages, and we call it entrenched. This now is where you are involved daily, if not constantly. You structure your day to be available, and you often wonder, how long can I do this? Because it's starting to wear on you. My experience in the entrenched stage was mom called me one morning. She was in her bed. Fortunately, there was a phone at her bedside, and she told me she couldn't get out of bed to go to the bathroom, and she couldn't move. Well, I had moved home definitely by this time, several years earlier, and this is, what I was anticipating, needing to be there if there was an emergency. I rushed over, got her to the bathroom. That was the first thing. Got some clothes on her, got her to the car. Fortunately, she was able to move a little bit, and we went to the emergency room. It turns out she had a life-threatening infection in her spine, although it was never completely identified or diagnosed. But I was, my whole life now was consumed with interacting with the doctors, being at the hospital as much as possible, and anticipating the outcome of this. She did survive, and I was told that to prepare for the worst, though. I mean, this was a critical situation. And the neurologist also told me that if she did survive, she would never live independently again. Well, I was actually more prepared for the end of her life and then for taking care of her over a length of time. So my mind kind of went crazy and started thinking about resources in the community and trying to learn what I needed to do next. Well, like I say, she survived 11 years after this, and I did move her to an assisted living facility. Being an only child, I really needed a team of support, and knowing we had the financial resources for that was very helpful. Well, after you're a caregiver for a while, you become very pragmatic about all of it. Your approach becomes practical, realistic. You learn about the healthcare system. You learn a bit of advocacy with doctors, with healthcare professionals. But the fun thing about this is you've cultivated a sense of humor, and that's a critical tool for caregiver survival. So this is what caregivers report. They get used to being a caregiver. They learn the ropes, and they don't take quite everything so seriously. And we've got some experiences around this, and they have to do with every time we went to a restaurant and she was capable of doing that and she was in a wheelchair, she had incontinence issues. So before the dessert was served, I had to get her to the bathroom quickly. And that's difficult. This was before COVID, so this was difficult in a crowded restaurant. Fortunately, they did have handicapped spaces in the women's room, so that wasn't the issue, but just working fast enough to prevent an accident. But you know what? At that point, accidents were normal, and I decided not to invest a lot of energy in it. And we would go back to the table, we would clean her up, go back to the table and enjoy our dessert. The next stage, these are the later stages now, and stage 5 is called transitioning. And this is when you could be caring for someone for some time now, or it could be a short-term caregiving experience. A lot of times we don't know how long that experience is going to last. But at times we can sense the end is near. My mom was actually on hospice care for 2 years because of some of the medical diagnosis qualified her for that. And I was eager to have all the help I could get. But there was a time when she was complaining about pain, and the pain could not be controlled. She was nearing her 100th birthday at the time, and she recognized that she was possibly nearing the end of her life. We had conversations all throughout 14 years. So there wasn't a tremendous amount to say except expressing our love and reminiscing a little bit. She did die a week later. And the transitioning phase is not only is the person transitioning to their death, but the caregiver. As a caregiver, you're transitioning. And this is difficult, especially after focusing all your attention for 14 years on another human being, one that you loved tremendously and were creating memories with. The caregiver really goes through a sense of loss about not having that in their life anymore, even though it's stressful. It occurs as a missing, and then figuring out, what do I do with the rest of my life? It's a hard question for a lot of us. The final stage is called Godspeed. And in transitioning, your role as a caregiver is starting to end. This can last up to 2 years. You've lost your loved one, your identity as a caregiver, and you're really trying to figure out your future. It was during this time, it was about 3-4 months after my mom died, that I realized I did have a purpose in this world. And that was because there was so much help I could have used as a caregiver, and I couldn't find a resource for that. I couldn't find somebody who had been through an experience and who was mentoring new caregivers on their journey. There was so much to learn. It would have relieved so much stress if I had known more and if I had had someone to talk to. I became a certified caregiving consultant and educator, and eventually led support groups as well. And that's my passion now, because caregivers need assistance. They should not have to go through this stress. And we need caregiver caring communities as well. So the bigger vision is that the world starts to recognize and be respectful and offer services for caregivers. So those are the 6 stages. It may or may not help you identify what a person needs, but you know, if they're in stage 3 and they're entrenched, they're not going to be in your office and they're not going to be buying from you, but they are going to be going through a very emotional time. There are a lot of surveys with caregivers. So as far as your business, they will spend time and money when they feel understood and when your product solves a problem. So hopefully you have a little bit more understanding, very basic, but we can go in depth in future webinars or customized seminars for your business. But also they're focusing on, what product do you have that solves my problem? Caregivers often fear it's going to take too much time and money for your services. And once they commit, there's no way out. So offering some kind of guarantee or promise of results is something that could be possible in your business. Also, when talking to them, keep it simple. Caregivers, maybe you can tell, are already overwhelmed. When they show up, and especially if it's for an appointment, respect their time, respect their money. We used to go to an eye specialist, and this was in the later stages of taking care of mom. And they used to make us wait an hour before seeing the doctor. And with mom's incontinence problems, that was very uncomfortable. It's just I mean, anybody is uncomfortable waiting in a doctor's office for an hour. I eventually started requesting that they give us some specialized treatment because waiting was a real big issue and it was exhausting. So here's some specifics now. What can you do to make caregivers more comfortable doing business with you? Focus on what you need or what they need. Well, I already said keep the language and explanations simple. Let them ask questions if they need more information. Rethink how you handle tardiness or canceled appointments. Could be absentees at work. If I'm rushing my mom to the hospital, I just may not have time to call you and cancel my appointment. And there shouldn't be repercussions from that. A warm, friendly welcome, whether it's on the phone or in person, because you are building a relationship. So look at what are you doing to build a relationship with, with all your customers, but specifically if you know they are caregivers. Now here's some very specific ideas too. You could offer a free gift. There are many senior Blue Book resource directories across the country. You can provide a free decorative bag with delicious chocolates inside. You can do that for all your customers. You can promote National Caregivers Day, National Caregivers Month, which is November. There's Alzheimer's Awareness Month and many other holidays. You can attend a virtual caregiver conference. A lot of them are at no cost these days, or a webinar, and learn more about caregiving. And it'll be helpful to yourself as well. You can become an advocate for caregivers or a cause, for example, Alzheimer's.org in your community, and you can promote that. Also, you can hire me to train your employees, to mentor your employees that are caregivers, and to provide helpful and informative programs for your caregivers. And I had a lot of other ideas. You can actually, put a sign in your window once people start going back into businesses, or a sign on your welcome desk, your receptionist desk, that we love our caregivers. You can give a discount or do something just to make them smile when they walk in. And especially if they walk in with a mom in their wheelchair, perk up and pay attention and give a little love. Ken, I'm offering several free items. One is on my website, 21 Mistakes Caregivers Make and How to Avoid Them. It's an ebook. And again, the whole idea is information and education for both ourselves as possible future caregivers or those needing care, as well as those currently caring for an individual. Now, also, I'm offering a free business consultation. So if businesses want to give me a call, we can talk about how further any of these ideas that might be appropriate to their specific business.
Tony, you are awesome.
Thank you.
Fabulous presentation. I've learned so much about you and about your family, and it does land very, very deeply with me and my life and my family as well. So I want to thank you so much for being with us today. You are awesome and such a professional, landing the plane exactly on time. You're tremendous. Ladies and gentlemen, incredible Tony Gittles. Thanks so much, my friend. You're awesome.
Thank you so much, Ken. It was terrific.
Makes a big difference in helping us share exactly what is important in families and in lives and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Gittles. Coming up next, more chocolatey goodness with World Love Week.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay.
I stand for love. Do you?
Hey, this is Captain Lou, and I stand for love, baby. Do you?
Do you?
Do you? Yes. Do you? Do you?
Do you?
Do you?
So Ivakren, Ivakren is going to speak to us on what if changes the path to self-love. Ivakren has been a coach for over 20 years, and she's an author and a speaker and the founder of the Expansion Method, the easy way to delete our programming that no longer serve us and install a new ones that align with our goal and vision. You can find more on that. You can find more on her website called ivakrenwallen.com. Ivakren, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here and to share this. Is really, really my favorite topic. And it's something that I found out many years ago. I was so not in, to say I wasn't in love with myself is really an understatement, because I couldn't stand myself. And what I want to share with you today is how I found a path to really enjoy time with myself through challenges. So the topic of what I want to speak to you is called, what if challenges are the path to self-love? So I want to start with asking you, do you know what the number one thing that people usually are most afraid of? It's not dying. It's not doing presentations on stage, and it's not being lonely. But it is how we feel about speaking from stage, dying, and being lonely. And it doesn't even have to be those kind of things. Just think of a phone call that you had to make, but you thought to yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. And maybe you never did it. So why do we do those things? It's because they feel uncomfortable. And we don't like to feel pain. We don't like to feel physical pain. We don't like to feel emotional pain. So we do the best we can to avoid it. And normally we are not even aware that that is what we're doing. We don't want to be alone. So we binge watch Netflix, we eat and we drink just because it makes us feel better. And just look at all the commercials pointing at our pain and showing that their solution to get away from it, that they have the solution for that. I mean, you can gamble for money, you can buy beauty cream, travel to exotic places. And that is all a cover up and putting a lid on what is actually going on. And that, my friend, is a good thing for the companies, but a bad thing for you. Because a buried feeling never dies. So we want to feel better, and we think that the solution is to avoid feeling bad. But actually, the uncomfortable feelings, they want us to feel better. They are carrying a clue for us to uncover, to rise up and feel better and stay better. They want us to understand. Let me share a story with you, a real life story. I live in a townhouse, and it's 4 houses that are set together. And one day, a couple of years ago, in early August, someone was furiously banging on our front door. And I opened, and there stood someone I've never seen before. And he was shouting at us, or at me, "Your house is on fire, you have to get out." And I shouted to the family, "We have to get out, house is on fire." It was really surreal. And then we just went out of the house, of course, and the only thing we could do was just watch the firemen do their job. And we just had the clothes we were wearing and the shoes on their feet. And our uncomfortable feelings, they are similar to the man banging on the door, because it was really uncomfortable news. But had we stayed in the house, not wanting to hear what was going on, we would have risked our lives. So can you see how caring your uncomfortable feelings actually are? And we don't need to suffer, feelings are not the truth. They are filters that we see the world through. And we're always going to have reactions to what happens in life. And in the Western society, we are a head culture, and many of us are not aware of what is going on in the body. And a question I've asked many times is, how do you know that you have a challenge? And I usually get a puzzled face back. And my answer to that is, it's because it doesn't feel good. And because we're not used to notice what is going on in our body, it needs to scream higher and higher until the pain is so loud that we cannot not hear it. So if you want to join me in a little bit of an experiment and see where you are at this, how you feel, experience what is going on inside of you. Start with pinching yourself. And you can feel that. And if you pinch hard, it's a bit uncomfortable. You don't need to do that. And then put your hand on your chest and notice how that feels. Do you feel good? Do you feel happy? Joyful? Or maybe you feel sad and maybe darkness. And now put your hand on your stomach. How does that feel? Are you at ease or is it tense? Can you breathe properly? Or do you have a shallow breath? There's nothing right or wrong about these things, whatever you're feeling. What you are feeling are clues from your body to your brain. And when you can make these two cooperate, then you will step into your full power. I told you in the beginning that I found my way to self-love through challenges. And I'm going to share a turning point in my life in this, because I used to have a knot in my stomach for years without even noticing it until it became so strong that I couldn't deny it anymore. And the defining moment for me was when I went to a party and I really felt I did not belong. I felt totally out of place. And I guess no one would have noticed if I was there or not. So I waited until I found the proper time to excuse myself so I could leave. And when I came home, I had this knot in my stomach and it was aching. So I pulled out pen and paper and I started to journal. And I asked questions to the pain. I asked what it wanted from me and why it was there. And I got answers. It said I did not belong. I should not try to be friends with those kind of people because they're so much better than me. I should stay with my own kind, which is not the good ones. I kept on writing, and even though it was painful to bring all these ideas up and onto paper, I knew I could not run away from it anymore. And suddenly, the pain just went away, and I felt good. I didn't feel like I was less worthy anymore. And I remember how I was looking out through the window. I saw the trees, I saw the houses outside. They were the same as yesterday and the day before, but still they looked different. Well, it was me that was different. In that moment, I started to really appreciate myself, and my journey to loving myself got started for real. And the thing is that everyone likes challenges, but the challenges are different for different people. Some people, they climb mountains and others do crosswords. We like to be challenged as long as the brain believes that it's safe. So imagine that you are going to do something you haven't done before, like starting a business. And you start out enthusiastically and you have a goal in mind. And when you do the plan, it looks like it's just to take one step at a time and you will get there. But I'm sure that every one of you that has set up for something new knows that it doesn't work that way. We always get challenged. So let's pretend to go back to this person who wants to start a business. He needs to sell. And he has this idea of what to sell, and he has 10 people, and everyone says no. What happens? Well, he's probably going to start doubt himself. I'm not good at this. I'm not made to be an entrepreneur. Basically, I'm not good enough to make this work happen. Okay, let's find out what really happened here. When no one wanted to buy, he got disappointed. And with that came emotional pain. Instead of trying to avoid feeling it or drown in it and believe that it's the truth, he can start to listen and become aware of the clues. So it's a part of him that believes that he's not good enough to be an entrepreneur. It's not 100% of him, it's just a part of him that suddenly become really present with him. So that's the message. Good to know. Is it the truth? No, not yet anyway. It is more a fear of a possible future. So now when he's aware of it, he can make a conscious choice to decide that he is good enough. And for everyone that has tried to do positive affirmations, you know that it's not the easiest thing to change an idea that comes from a strong feeling. But I'm going to show you how to do that. And that is called thankfulness. To give thanks to the painful feeling of not being good enough, in this case, sometimes it takes 5 seconds, and sometimes it can take 5 days, depends on the situation. Because the feeling is your friend that wants to save you from a burning house. And finally, you are listening and taking action. So just notice you have a goal, and then you meet resistance and you have this painful feeling. Notice what is going on in your body and the thoughts in your head as well. Because that is creating awareness. So these uncomfortable feelings are knocking on the door to help you create awareness. Isn't that good? So now you can thank the uncomfortable feeling that helped you to create awareness. That is what you're thanking them for. And when you can sit and feel this gratefulness, it knows that you have listened. So it no longer has any purpose to stay with you, and then it can leave you. And you have become an upgraded version of you. And also, what happens when you feel pain, it's difficult for you to be in contact with your intuition. But when you send gratitude, and you're going to start to feel calm, and then you have a lot better access to your intuition. So your intuition is your guide, because I'm sure you have felt it many times that you have this idea that might seem crazy to start with, no logical sense at all. But when you went with it, you could see that it really made a big difference in your life. That's your intuition talking, and it's called inspired action. Follow that and see what opens up for you. So now when you see how your emotional pain can help you to move forward, there's no reason to be afraid of them anymore. So set your eyes on where you want to go, what you want to experience and explore. Be conscious of the challenges and use them to up-level yourself, and you will find self-love on the way. And I have a gift to you as well, and it might seem like a strange gift on this topic, but it's called up-level your money set point. And I'm going to read on my other screen about it. Because it's your subconscious is running your life, at least to 95%. And we have all these programmings in our system, and the body is the vehicle that we can understand what is going on in our subconscious. We can also see it in our real life, because the results we get in real life, they are coming from our choices that we have made on the way. And most choices we make unconsciously or subconsciously. So if you have felt that you have the same results over and over again, but you would like to create new results, and you try different things, you do try to do different things, different strategies, but nothing really changes in the results in the outside world. And maybe if you're frustrated and angry and hopelessness, that are the messages I was talking about. The thing is to understand and decode the messages, because that's the only way, from my point of view, for you to change your results. And you can do a crash course. You can move, like headstrong into challenges, and like break through, like a martial art person that can crack cement blocks with their hand. You can do that if you're really, really headstrong. But most of us are not like that. I know I am not. So then it's so easy to get stuck in our limitations and actually believe in them because they feel so true. And so what I provided for you is something I call how to find love to oneself by using money as a tool to find what is stopping you. Money is such a good thing to work with, because we have so many, the relationship to money is so difficult, because we have it from our culture we grew up in, from our parents, how they were talking or not talking about money, how they were handling money, and if we reacted to it or not. So I met people that they can easily attract money to them, but they can't keep it. That it's like they're spending it on things, on everything. I don't know what they're spending it on, but they just go away. Then there are people that have not easy to attract money, but they can save, so they can live a good life anyway. And then as soon as you feel some kind of stress or some kind of discomfort regarding money in whatever shape or form, there's a message hidden in there. And the thing is that using money, that we have to, everything, we see money every day, maybe not real money, but the results of money. The computer we're using right now, it's coming because I paid money for it. So we touch money every day. And therefore, it's a good tool to use to reach a deeper level into the subconscious mind and to change whatever is going on. A lot of times it's about self-worth, but it's also about other things: fear of rejection, fear of being visible, all kinds of things. And when you release those patterns, using money as a tool to reach your subconscious mind and the limitations and transform them, you will see that the results will also show up in other areas of your life. So when we go to the root cause of it, because a habit you have is usually something that shows in different areas in your life. So when you use one place to find it, if you understand what I mean, you will release it in several areas in your life as well. So it's a free course in 4 modules. And the main thing is to help you find the messages. And with that, I mean the limitation, the uncomfortable feelings. And when you're willing to see those, then you can create magic in your life. Yeah.
Is that nice? That's really interesting presentation there. What, so the big package of your give, can you give more? Can you elaborate more on it for the audience that are watching?
Sure. So the everything builds on creating awareness, because when we create awareness, we have to decide what we want to create, because we are amazing creators all the time. And if we have things in our life that we're not happy with, we still created it. And the more we can take responsibility for what we create in life, the easier it will be to recreate into something new. It's so easy for people to say, well, because it's snowing here, I cannot do this or that. I'm going to wait. Yeah, you can do, but you can also adapt to the situation that you cannot do anything about. It's your perception that changes your reality. So setting a goal for what you want, and it's really good. A lot of people have difficulty to set goals, and a good way to start setting a goal, if that's the case, is to look at something that you are not satisfied with in your real life here now, and turn it into the opposite. Don't make it complicated. Just simply turn it around, make it the opposite. And the more specific you are, the better it is. I usually say that communicating with your subconscious mind is like talking to a 5-year-old. You have to be specific in the instructions. Otherwise, it can be misinterpreted. So, and just as an example of that is how we adults usually talk to each other. We understand what we mean, but we don't always say what we mean. So many years ago, I think my son was like 5-6 years old, and I was going to drive to the store to buy some food, and I had borrowed a book from a friend that lived on the way to this store. And I said, yeah, but I can give the book back to her while we're passing. And then he looked at me and said, well, how can you give the book back to her if you're passing her? Yeah. So, and that is also how the subconscious mind understands the instructions. So we have to be specific.
Yeah.
And so, and let's take money, for example, like, yeah, I want to make more money. Yeah, I'll give you $1. Yeah, that's more money. So I'm sure that is not what you really want. So you have to be specific. How much money do you really want to make? So, so that is setting a goal, creating awareness of what is in the way.
Yeah.
So then I ask, so why is this not going to happen? Maybe a strange question, you might think, but that is creating awareness of what is standing in the way.
Yeah, it's like getting at the bottom of the root cause. What is keeping you? Why aren't you there yet? And
yeah, because so many people I know try the positive thinking thing, and it works when you want to have a parking spot, because that is not that big thing, but it's difficult to create in other areas because we have limitations that we're not aware of, patterns that we're not aware of, that are sabotaging that for us. So by creating awareness around them, we learn more about ourselves, and we see what needs to change, because it's always about up-leveling ourselves into a new state, a new higher version of yourself. And it's not about you becoming a different person. It's actually more you becoming more of who you truly are.
Yeah.
So think about a healthy child. When a child is 2-3 years old, they're just running around playing, having fun, and then when something is wrong, they scream. So
Yeah.
so somewhere on the way, it changes. But what if we could have that confidence as adults that we just walk and we don't really care about the reactions we get from other people? We can just scream a little bit, shake it off, and move forward. But we get so many programmings from our surroundings, and many times because people care about us, but we interpret it in a different way because we don't have so much life experience as children.
So that's really interesting. If expanding on that note, if let's say, you know, we have been programmed certain way for our entire life, and we know that now we have come to realization that this is sabotaging our life, and I want to reverse this. Do you have a few of the, you know, tips or suggestion of how you could channel that part of you and say, okay, like I have strategic practices that I can use?
Yeah, and one of them was what I shared in my talk, the creating awareness, notice what it is, and get the message that, yeah, I don't feel like I'm made to be a business owner, maybe, or I'm not good at this. Something that happened to me recently, I made a mistake, and then I could really feel the pain. It wasn't a big mistake, but I could really feel the pain of making the mistake. And I realized that I had an idea that I was not allowed to make mistakes. I had to be perfect all the time, which is, I mean, it's not possible to be a human being and be perfect all the time, not making mistakes. But a part of me said it was not okay for me. So by acknowledge that and say, okay, that's a thing that I've been going with my whole life. It's time to change that, to allow myself to make mistakes. So that's the hidden message in this pain. And when I see the message and acknowledge it, and I also in the bio when you're presenting me, as you said, I'm the founder of the expansion method. That's a really easy and quick way. And on my website to transform things like that. So on my website, I have a couple of recordings of people where I happen to go through it, so people can experience it. Cool. So that is also possible. Yeah.
Thank you. We're probably gonna land. We're gonna call it off in a minute, but it has been really honor to listen to your speech and get really good insight of, you know, self-love, how to, you know, tune into our inner energy. So I'll probably call it off here. And for those listeners, all the detail for the free gift will be up on our dashboard. So don't feel like, go up there, you will find all of the goodies that she's offering.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate being here.
It's been a pleasure.
I stand for love. Do you?
Hey, this is Captain Lou, and I stand for love, baby. Do you?
Do you? Do you?
Do you? Yes. Do you? Do you?
Do you?
Do you?
Do you? Do you?
The delightful face you're looking at right now is the incredible DJ Warner, who will be going live with us in just a matter of seconds. Let me go find his introduction, which is something you want to not miss for 1 second, because it was so well written. I didn't even write it myself, actually. But he's pretty awesome. Are you guys ready? Just put a big thing in the chat. Tell me you are ready to rock and roll, because we are going to do this right now. World Love Week continues with the incredible DK Warner right now. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, I'm excited to have him on board, because if you have been dealing with any element of stress over the course of the past life that you've been living, but certainly over the past year and however many months, as things have been certainly challenging, and even if they've been the best year ever of opportunity, stress is, well, let's put it this way, diamonds get made from stress. So today we're going to talk about more love and less stress. And I want to introduce you to the man that they call Mr. Calm. He's the author of 3 books on marketing, customer service, and stress elimination, having personally mentored over 200 executives and professionals, who loves to help overstressed professionals acknowledge the stress that they're carrying, activate their own inner peace to achieve potentially more success than ever before in their professional and personal lives. Welcome, please, will you? It's hard for me to welcome you without applause, mister, but welcome without applause, the incredible, the outrageous, the loving Mr. DK Warner. How you doing, DK?
Good, Ken, and yourself. Thanks so much for having me here today. I really appreciate it. Great. And I figure if we applaud now, then it's over, right? So we're just really getting started. So I love it. Yeah.
I love it. I got to tell you, I love that backdrop. That is so perfect, and it's so perfect for you. It is totally perfect for you.
I appreciate that. I'm just in my center of calmness here.
I love it. I love it.
A quick second while I do a screen share.
Okay, I'll let you run with it. And ladies and gentlemen, DK has the stage.
All right, thank you very much, Ken. And I must say before I begin that I took a look at the speaker lineup, and I've been in and out of the sessions as well. And it's such an amazing group that we have here this week for World Love Week. Such an amazing concept, and amazingly put together so quickly as well, right? So it's just a series of miracles compounding on each other here.
Thank you. And not without its stress, mister, let me tell you.
I can believe it, right? Well, that's what I'm here for, to take care of that.
And I'm listening.
All right, I'm going to bypass that introduction, which I had the pleasure of joining Kim Bassett for a coffee with Kim earlier. And right now, I would just like to say we're so excited to be here for World Love Week that we need to be sure to take Michelle Hollis's advice and breathe, right? She's got that breathing meditation. I do recommend folks go download that, although I haven't yet. I am going to right after this or soon after. But why don't we just take a moment and breathe right now, and just breathe deep into the belly. And then forcefully push that breath out just with your lips pursed. Twice more. Belly breath. Force that air out. Belly breath. Force that breath out. That gets that energy up into your mind. And now we're here and present and ready to talk about eliminating stress. I'd like to open with a deep question for you that I'm going to actually read word for word twice. Don't answer it now, but just keep it in mind as we go through what I have to share with you here today. If I could help you with only one result that would reduce your stress, what result would you want to have? And I'll just ask that question one more time. If I could help you with one and only one result that would reduce your stress, what result would you want to have? Once again, I'd love to thank Ken Krell as well as Jor. And I have to admit, I am not sure how to pronounce Jor's last name. Ken, I don't know if you help me with that or not.
I'd have to go look at it to pronounce it right.
Yeah, I understand. If I could just call him Jor, I thank you both.
Zor is, and it's not easy because it's spelled DHOR, but it's actually pronounced Zor with a Z. Go figure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and so great to be a part of this and part of the initiative that he's advancing as well. We're going to talk about loving more today and stressing less, with 5 takeaways. First, you'll be able to fully acknowledge the stress that's holding you back from greater success. And if you think you're not stressed out, we all have some level of stress that we can work on, shift away from, and then move forward into greater levels of success. And then we'll also explore a proven sequence to eliminate that stress without any pills or therapy. There's no magic pill. And if there was one, you wouldn't want it. It's better to have mastery of this within yourself rather than having to rely on something external. And you'll be able to, once you remove that and eliminate it, that stress, learn how to apply your full potential to opportunities that are most likely right in front of you. As well, With this, you'll be fully empowered to love your family, your friends, your colleagues, those in your business, your suppliers, your entire network from a center of calmness. And we'll explore what that means here in just a moment. And of course, a natural benefit from all this, once you eliminate stress, enhance your success, you'll be able to retain and enhance both your health and your wealth in every aspect of your life. But let me ask, what holds us back? What keeps us in this stress mode? I received an email actually at the beginning of the year. I guess this was like a New Year's present for me, right? From a productivity coach who I've worked with a little bit. And he decided to send me 21 of the biggest causes of low-grade productivity. And isn't that part of the human condition? We all want to be productive. And if we're not productive, it's difficult to have enough energy to love and to really give back to our communities, as well as to our friends and colleagues, family, to share that love with others. If we're not being productive, there's just not much left to work with. And Mr. Sharma here decided that he needed to share 21 reasons with me. Of course, as soon as it's 21, I'm shut down. There's just too many reasons here for me to work with. But then I took a closer look, and it's just interesting the pattern, right, that you can see if you look carefully at this list for a bit. First, he calls out irregular relief from stress. Isn't that interesting? So if we have a way to relieve stress, that's great. But if we're not applying that methodology regularly, well, then stress builds up, it amplifies, and it affects everything we do because we're carrying that stress, right? Now, if you look at a couple of these other things, toxic media and association with naysayers, folks that are actually telling us with that vibration that Michelle Hollis was talking about, that vibration of negativity. And if we're taking those things in, well, then that's creating stress. And if we don't have a way to relieve ourselves of stress, this is starting to look a little bit like a system. And if we don't have fitness, and if we're addicted also to distractions and entertainment, social media, depending on how you're using your social media, and if we're not paying attention perhaps and letting our hygiene slip a bit, maybe a little bit of lack of sleep, although if you're running a World Love Week, okay, this week might be tough for sleep. If you're not watching your nutrition, well, you're going to have a tough time recovering that willpower that we need to continue continuously learning, improving, moving forward, and reaching out for greater levels of success. With too little learning, too little success, well, now we're starting to think the past looks better than the future, right? And that's going to impact our self-worth. And that's even before we think about whatever we have in our early life that really needs to be cleaned out before we're really operating at our full potential. Well, if you put all this together, what does that look like? A system. And as Edwards Deming indicated, the system that we work in is actually responsible for 90+% of the performance that we actually generate and the love that we have available to give, both within our business as well as in our personal lives. What's driving your system? Are you driven through love, or are you kind of driven by stress? If you just look at all those elements, how do they come together in your life? And if you're driven by stress, that's a negative system. It's going to generate negative results in your life, leading to catastrophic potential outcomes. But what if you didn't have to deal with that stress?
It's great to just be present and doing what we're supposed to be doing instead of going like this, spinning around and around. So thank you. I will use this again. I'll just remind myself of the calm place that I'm in right now.
You know, people tell other people relax, but they don't know what to do. Relax is just a word, and they don't even realize the tension that they have in their bodies. And that was such a great metaphor to make people acknowledge that they have tension and how poorly they function when they're in that state. So it was interesting. It was a in the moment experience where I actually used what you said, and it worked.
The color process that you did, that was great. Having those colors, because color is so powerful, and that really dialed down the stress from that red alert to that calmness, and it was powerful. So thank you so much, and I'm going to use that for the rest of the night. It might be an all-nighter, but I'm going to use it the rest of the night. So thanks.
All three of these healers, multi-decade experienced healers, had a key assignment due the day after I met with each of them. And they were stressed, right? They had this huge deadline. They weren't really sure the path that they needed to take forward, but they found a way to shift through a method that I'll be sharing with you today. And you might ask, who might benefit? Who is this hour best for? If you're overworked professional, if you've got pressures coming in from every side and you're feeling that stress amplify and build in your life, then you're definitely in the right place in the right time. And if you're seeing uncertainty, perhaps you're an entrepreneur, uncertain of what's all changing, because the level of change has never been higher than what we've seen most recently. And since it's World Love Week, really most of us here are lovers, not fighters, right? But if we're finding ourselves in a little bit too much conflict, not sharing as much love, but doing more fighting and resolving and managing higher levels of stress and that conflict that can really amplify stress faster than almost anything, well, you're definitely in the right place at the right time. And if you have a moment of truth ahead of you, if you've got to give a speech, if you've got to hold an event, if you've got to plan and deliver something that perhaps is a little bit greater than yourself, well, then you need this method. And what we offer here are solutions. Of course, the most straightforward one, loving more while stressing less. No pills and no therapy, a solution that you take with you, and it can apply anytime for the rest of your life, delivering you confidence and clarity inside. And with that confidence and with that clarity, of course, expanded vision, clarity of mission and purpose automatically, generated by repeating a simple method with repetition and frequency. And I'd like to offer a gift for those who stay to the end of the session and really take all this material in, because really you've got to receive the entire message here to really understand what I'm talking about. And if you do, I've actually got a gift for you that I'm going to deliver right here live. And this is in addition to what we've already offered on the dashboard. I wanted to point out several mentors that I've had the pleasure of working with, and really and truly the most efficient way to move forward and become more successful and to have that and generate that reservoir of love is to work with mentors who have been there before and done what it is that we wish to do. In my case, it's Bruce Kumar Francis I wanted to highlight, who had a very deep and detailed knowledge of certain Asian disciplines, but it wasn't so much the detail that caught my attention as much as his mission, which is to help to free human beings from the inside, to generate inner peace by freeing everything that binds them from the inside out. So that was such a profound message that it really caught my attention. I learned a lot from Mr. Francis, as well as from several other mentors who helped me along the way. Dr. Lewinsky, who helped with my martial arts training and personal development, really instilled in me a deep level of personal development. Pastor Dell, who helped open my mind to spiritual principles and the concept and the reality that there is a world beyond the world that we see. Joel Bauer, who introduced me, and not only introduced me, but showed me detailed methodologies to live life by my own design. And then I thought this picture was so beautiful that I had to include it here. That's not why it's included here. Ken Krell, who showed me a couple of key principles and still teaches me today on a couple of things. The first being the principle of simplicity, that, for example, if two ideas combine, why not just combine them? And also the principle of speed. The best time to handle something is now. And even better than that would be right now, as we've seen here in World Love Week. And I just wanted to share something I'm very grateful for. I had the opportunity to work with my system with a type A personality, a financial strategist with hundreds, even thousands of clients who had a high level of stress and needed to find a way to generate higher levels of success by eliminating that stress. And so I wanted to introduce Dwayne Lair and the results that he received through 8 different sessions going through the DK Method and Stress to Success program. I'll just let him speak in his own words.
I was able to really take my energy from a state of 8 or 9 on the anxious scale or just stress scale. And right now I'm sitting at a 1 or a 2, maybe. If I can be perfectly at peace when I'm hearing yelling to get ready every day to the kids by my wife, and then I say something like, is love, gratitude, and just focusing on what you really want. It's just more and more all the time. It's so obvious that we can get stuck in thought patterns, or we can just replace them with new ones, right? And then you shift into a blissful day. I never use the term bliss, rare. Blissful day where you're just in complete gratitude and love of whatever you're doing at that point in time. And you're shifting your energy. And anybody can do that. Yeah, you're over the top, and you bring it down to a 4 or a 5, right? Because that's where I feel like I'm at right now. 4, 3, 4, maybe.
Good. Okay.
So that's the thing. Like you're not necessarily going to completely eliminate the feeling, but you're going to drastically reduce it. And people need to know that that's okay too. I feel really good. I feel like I couldn't do anything more. Or if you just sit all day and do that, okay, sure. But that was amazing. I've got them in a box. I don't want to do that, but I've got them in a box of, I'm a teacher. I know what I'm doing. You're going to listen to me, or that's that. No, something tweaked me right at the end. I was like, oh yeah, there it is. There it is.
Good. Yeah.
You know what? This whole gratitude thing's huge. It's, I don't talk enough about it in my program.
Key takeaways here. First, that Dwayne was able to take his stress level down from as high as a 10 plus when a family member of his actually was undergoing surgery, down to a 4 or 5 at that time. So even under heavy stress, he was able to find his way toward a higher level of inner peace and greater potential for success. And of course, when under garden variety levels of stress, he was able to take that stress level down to 1 or 2, which is like a very low baseline that a lot of us never even find at all. And not only that, through 8 days, Dwayne was able to find sensitivities and different perspectives on the challenges that he faced and the stress inputs. And he was able to find different solutions to deal with those concerns differently. And he took on the concept, and more than concept, the engine of gratitude to move forward and generate the energy to progress toward success. Now, my journey along this line started when I was only 2 years old. I was actually in a bit of an accident on the back of a bike with my dad that for whatever reason, I wasn't seriously harmed as far as I know. Of course, I mean, that was a long time ago. But at that time, something happened, right? Something tweaked in my mind. I started having panic attacks, chronic anxiety, and that's something I carried with me for decades. And I, like most, I'd managed it, found ways to suppress it, but it found ways in and around whatever methodologies I came up with at first. And it formed a sort of emotional prison, right? I became introverted, very quiet, always having to put a lot of energy into managing this baseline level of stress that was generated by this childhood accident. And as I progressed and went through and accomplished things in education, accomplished things as an engineer, moved into management and found higher levels of corporate opportunities in corporate management, eventually I reached a point where I was in a toxic corporate environment. I'm sure a lot of you folks out there have experienced or know what I mean by that. But I wasn't equipped to handle that kind of emotional pressure. And so eventually it overwhelmed me, right? I was totally shut down. It was all I could do just to drag myself into work each day and work it out. And I had to even find an escape at lunch. So it was like half days, right, that I was working with. Completely overwhelmed. This picture is super accurate as to how I felt every day, dragging myself through the mud of that particular assignment. And I needed, therefore, a transformation method, something to completely clear that out and move forward. And I didn't even know what transformation was at that time, but I was at a crossroads. Either my career was going to go down the toilet basically, or I was going to find a solution. So I determined to find a solution, and then spent thousands of hours of careful training, study, as well as the mentorship that I've been super grateful and thankful to have received. And I found my answer. I found out that starting actually from a simple experience at the ocean, that I could generate a level of internal peace that I had never felt before in my entire life, as far as I could remember. And not only that, but I could repeat that. And as I began developing and distilling that process through the mentorship, through the careful study and thousands of hours of specialized education, instruction, and study and development, I began to see stress and anxiety and overwhelm differently. And once I put this together into something I could teach others, distilled it down into a process that I could transfer to somebody in just 10 minutes time, I began teaching it. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. It's a solution for pain, right? And if you're feeling today a little bit too stressed to really feel the love, that's already coming to you, through this method, you can enjoy having that inner peace restored, which is actually the source of your own love and eventually wealth. If you're too stressed to give the love for those who you know deserve it, you'll have an instant solution that's available to you any place and any time, nothing external required, completely inside. And if you're too stressed to have the vision, to see the love that's possible, through developing the mental clarity that'll come with the Stress to Success program, clarity will be yours, along with that vision, which will translate into a mission that will drive you to action to achieve that success and be able to give the love and see the love that can be developed and generated through the solutions that you offer. My method is 3 simple steps. Anybody can do these. I have had the good fortune of sharing these with quite a few clients now. And this simple 3-step process, it works every time for those who implement, for those who take it seriously. The first method we can actually explore right here and right now. If you have a piece of paper with you, a piece of scrap paper or a Post-it note, simply pull it out, get out a pen, and simply write the word results on it, just in a completely relaxed fashion, right? Just go ahead right now and just write the word results. Go ahead. Probably felt pretty straightforward, right? No big deal. Well, now what I'd like you to do is on that same piece of paper, write the word results again. But first, before you do that, tense up all of your muscles in your face, your neck, your shoulders. Just kind of do one of these, like wrestling moves, right? Where you tense everything up in your upper body, but don't overdo it. And once you've tensed everything up, including your fingers and wrists, write that word results again. How did that feel? Pretty weird, right? And it's that tension that we're talking about. The tension that even though we applied it deliberately here, well, it's not deliberate. It's something that we accumulate over time. And that's the tension we're bringing into every new situation. And the more we wish to love, and the more we wish to move forward, and the more success we wish to generate, well, sometimes that stress continues to rise, and then we're carrying and having to carry this boulder of tension through all of those new experiences. And the result is a lot less success than we could have. And these tensions can be activated by all kinds of different things, right? Potential failure, COVID-19, childhood anxieties, just being watched and judged all the time. There's so much of that going on these days. Internal conflicts with your family, opportunities to speak in front of an unfamiliar group. Just think of that moment right before the speech begins. Now, if you have as much experience as Ken, I don't think this is a problem, but for most of us, there's a little twinge at least of stress that can show up right before the speech begins, right? Or what about if you're trying to start a new business online and you only have to do about 32 different steps, which aren't in order? There's overwhelm, right? That can easily creep in, and this affected me for many years before I found my way. The first step is simply to acknowledge that we have this stress, and once we've acknowledged it, well, then we can do something about it.
I want to share a little extra step and beyond because of your results. Imagine when you acknowledge your stress and tension and you release it, all the stress and tension are gone, just like bubbles. It disappeared out in the universe. So thank you for your method.
So once we've acknowledged the stress, we can perceive it. It's not hidden from us any further. Step 2 is to activate mind-body masteries that we all have, but we just haven't been applying them in the right sequence. And there's two steps of this that I'd like to call out to your attention right now. And these are the core and the crux of the DK method for eliminating stress, overwhelm, anxiety. The first is to deal with the mind. the mind often will generate what I call a thought tornado, right? That where it's all these thoughts are just whipping around, and they can generate enough power to actually destroy the ideas in your path and the concepts and all the things you want to work on moving forward. Well, with a tornado like this, you're going to be hidden in the cellar and not able to move forward on anything, right? What if there was a simple method to clear that out so that the road ahead becomes clear and the skies are clear? And similar to that, the emotional stress that we can carry that's often triggered by the smallest provocation, the smallest frustration, raging waves at our emotional center. And what if through a simple process, we can calm those raging seas and just allow that to be a still, smooth pond of pure emotional relaxation and calmness. And this is the gift that I found for myself, and it's what I'm sharing with you here today. Imagine being able to manifest inner peace from the inside without relying on external inputs, without relying on who you're with or what you're doing, or even necessarily receiving love, but just being able to, if you will, just clean out your inside, right? Just take that internal, all those internals that are happening, and manifest this complete and total inner peace, a center of calmness that's so powerful that it actually begins to affect your outside environment. And people love that, right? Folks that are calm, people love to be around them. They're not adding any stress to their lives, and they're actually helping them cope with their own stress. Wouldn't that be a powerful ability and skill to have? And that's what I'm offering to transfer to you.
Being, for example, in traffic and getting angry is not a good thing, for example. And this is going to help me to get over these moments when my emotions take over, because I have something that is going to keep me under control and where I can keep control over my life. So Derek, I'm really grateful for that, because I was looking for a whole bunch of time for a solution for that. And you gave me a solution that will potentially even save my life.
What's the consequence of not dealing with stress? In the simple case that Christian mentioned here, if you're in traffic and you have a bit of an episode of road rage, and perhaps completely justified, well, that can cost property and life, right? Stress accumulated over long periods of time can also have devastating effects on health, right, as well as wealth through bad decision making, poor decision making. And if nothing else, think about your career. Imagine not having to hold such high levels of stress and being able to not only manage your career, but to accelerate and amplify the success that you find within your career from a center of calmness instead of a center of stress, which is so often and so common out there as folks push the envelope. And if they don't deal with the stress, even if they find the success, the cost is so great. And what I'm offering here is a chance to change that equation such that high success does not mean high stress, and actually eliminating stress generates higher levels of success. My question for you now is, what result do you want to achieve? And how is it that you plan to achieve it? Let's just stop for a moment and think through that. There's a result that you especially want to achieve, something that's in front of you right now. Perhaps you felt a little bit held back by how are you going to get to that result? How are you going to actually accomplish the process to achieve that result? Isn't it a sequence? Isn't there a system involved in achieving that result in a predictable fashion, a system to attract, convert, retain, and systemize, so that not only can that success be developed, but it also can be replicated? And don't we, whether we're talking about our personal lives or our professional lives or the perhaps a nonprofit or a community that we serve, whoever it is we serve, we need leads, we need resources, we need to be able to generate revenue that provides us the money flow that we need to accomplish the good that we wish to accomplish in the world. And for that, we need customers. We need to leverage the track record as we develop it and not lose it along the way. We need to develop and maintain a rapid pace of entrepreneurial progress, whether we're in a corporation setting or whether we're standing alone as an entrepreneur, perhaps part of an entrepreneurial community. And we need to build our business as well as build our personal life so that we might leave a legacy. It's a sequence like this one here. Let's take a moment and work our way through the grid. Take a moment and choose any purple square. Don't tell me which one you choose. Now we're going to make a few moves in sequence. First, move horizontally, right or left, to the nearest gray square. Put your finger on that gray square. And then move vertically, up or down, to the nearest purple square. And from there, move diagonally, either up diagonally or down diagonally, to the nearest gray square. And from that gray square, move right or down to the nearest purple square. And then keep your finger on that square. Which one did you end up at? And what's really interesting is that we all start from different points in life. We're all working to achieve different results. Perhaps we have a grand plan to build something magnificent. Perhaps we're looking to pay liabilities off and clean up our financial clock, if you will. Perhaps we're expanding. We've got a fleet we want to build, or an expansion. I don't want to say toys, but we want to increase our life sphere, if you will, our experiences in life. We have a choice to make. At a crossroads, we're trying to leverage our time, our money more effectively. Perhaps just enjoying a moment with our life partner, or even going introspective, looking inside deeply into our own mind to understand how it works. Trying to find and refine our compass direction. Which way is magnetic north for us? Taking care of our personal life, our family, our health, our career as we climb the ladder, perhaps. And of course, progress is only natural, it's only human. Or if we find ourselves in the middle of something complex, how do we find our way forward? That's a question. But isn't it interesting that the only square left is most likely the square you ended up at? And actually, the relationship here is completely mathematical. And if you followed my direction, you will have ended up at this square here, which represents the center of calmness, through which, when we pass through the center of calmness and achieve that inner peace in our life, we can accomplish all of these various objectives from that center without having to pay the price of high stress. And if perhaps you ended up at a different square and didn't follow my directions, that's actually on me, because in this system and in this sphere, as I'm the mentor, it's my responsibility to make sure you get there. And the sequence that we use with the DK method to generate that internal peace is a simple process of activation. It starts with sensitivity. And this is where I'm going to share the blueprint with you. So if you take careful notes here, pay close attention, I'm actually giving away the entire system here as my way of paying it forward. Sensitivity is the beginning to really have a sense, if as stress passes through that energy field, that's us, that's our humanity. Sensitivity to that stress that's coming in as it's starting to affect us. And then we apply 3 different layers of calmness: physically, emotionally, and mentally, to reverse the impact of that stress and prevent it from amplifying in our lives. Now, you can think of this like the surface of a drum. If the drum is taut, if the skin is tightened, well, when you beat that drum, you can hear it for a long ways. And that's the vibration of the stress hitting your life and amplifying out into the world as well as into your own life. It's horrendous, right? The amount of amplification. But by applying calmness, well, now that drum skin is not taut anymore. Now it's relaxed, and so all you hear is it's a thud, and that stress isn't going anywhere because it's really being absorbed and dissipated, and no longer has any further impact on your life. And then we don't stop there. We apply the gratitude engine, which provides us that energy and flow to keep moving forward from a spirit of thankfulness. And then we apply some advanced topics here: perfect peace, the inner peace that's developed by going through this sequence, which opens up our energetic potential from within. Michelle Hollis mentioned vibration, and this is where that vibration is free. It's no longer bound up by stress, and you're free then to allow all of that vibration of your vision, your mission, and your purpose to come forth and express itself back to the universe so that you can move forward to a higher level of success, just sharing the love that you have from your heart with the world. And by expanding that vision greater than you've ever expanded it before, the resources come to meet you. And by applying this triangle you see in front of you, perfect peace, a sense of inner peace that's developed by generating that center of calmness, which becomes a new center that we can go to instead of always finding ourselves just drawn back into that center of high stress. And then that expanded vision represented by the yacht at the lower left form a triangle that bring abundance into our lives, the abundance that we need to share the love.
DK helped me to de-stress and to prepare myself for success. I use DK's quick start before I go on stage and in my daily life. His quick start takes me from a 10 to a 1 in under a minute. I highly recommend DK.
Less than 60 seconds. Stress level 10 to stress level 1. Sound interesting? Would you like to know more about that? I've got a few minutes left here. I can teach about this.
I'm here. I'm just in the background here. Yes, tell us more. Tell us more, cowboy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can teach about this, right? And I can teach a lot more about this than I have. And I have a whole digital course that we'll talk about here in a moment. But really, it's better to experience it for yourself. So shall we?
To quote Pam Heath, yes.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to go through a very abbreviated version of this. It's going to be hyper fast. If you want to slow down the recording afterwards, I guess you could kind of replicate a longer sequence. But those that are in my group, we actually have several different speeds of this that we can utilize to energize this at a very slow, methodical, kind of hitting the deep and powerful gears in our life, or we can do a quick hit, right? Just a 60 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes, just to take the edge off. And so it's an applicable method that works for both. Here I'll do about a 5-minute session. So I'll just begin straight away. It's very simple. We begin with body relaxation. So I just start with placing the hand on top of my head, and I just let my mind's focus then flow down from top to bottom through all the muscles, and allowing each muscle group to relax from the head through the shoulders, the chest, the core, upper and lower back, just relaxing all those muscles in the hips, the legs, all the way through the feet until you feel it tingling at your toes. It indicates the energy is beginning to flow more freely. And then we also go through the arms and relax the upper arm, the forearm, the wrists, the fingers, until the fingertips feel that same. I'm going to close my eyes because I'm actually going to do this as I'm talking you through it. Until you feel that energy in the fingers and the fingertips that indicate that you've got better energy flow now coursing through your whole body because it's relaxed. And then we simply take the second step, which is to place our hands directly over our belly button. The last time I shared this with Ken, he mentioned concern about his abs. Don't worry about your abs. Just go inward from your hands and bring your mind to a point of focus 2 to 3 inches in, right at your emotional center. Spend a few seconds just observing. I'll just be quiet here for 5 seconds. Just keep that focus at a point. And when you do that, you become sensitive to your emotional state. And from there, you can assess the level of energetic emotional waves that are always present there. And depending on your level of stress, you might have raging waves, like a raging sea in the middle of a storm. That would be what I would call a red color. And then there's lower levels of stress, yellow and green, right? Then we move up to the mind, and we place the mind at that same focal point, a singular point right in the middle of your head, right in the cerebrum, and you apply the same sensitivity to your cerebrum to sense and really feel the thought energy that's present, all those thoughts that are raging back and forth. If you've got high energy going on here, that would be a red condition. If perhaps you're working on a difficult problem and your mind is just heating up with all the, if you will, the engineering that's going on as you're working toward a solution, that would be a yellow, engaged but directed. And if you're just chilling out, then you'd be at a green. And in both of the cases of the thought as well as the emotional, we just apply mind intention to bring those colors down from red toward green, and just allow those waves to settle both at the emotional center as well as at the thought center. And then from there, we reach out and grab a point in our past where we were perfectly at peace, and we borrow that energy back again to bring it back, because we can really recall from a sense memory recall perspective, we can recall that energy that we felt back at that time of perfect peace right here, right now. There's nothing preventing any of us from bringing that memory back right into the present moment. And so we leverage that to actually return ourselves to that feeling when all is right in our world, no matter what's going on externally. Internally, everything is right. And then we actually take that and we work through a movie screen technique that empowers us to actually clear obstacles by putting them on the screen and just clearing them out, and then moving forward by putting then our goal on the screen and activating a strong sense of gratitude. And not just a sense of mental gratitude, yeah, I should feel thankful for whatever this thing is that we're going to achieve, but actually a physical body mind type of gratitude. We're actually putting our hand on our heart and applying mind focus to a point directly in the heart and allowing the heart to begin radiating that gratitude. And we have methods to develop this thankfulness, which for some of us might be hard if this circuit is not strong in us at the moment, or if that energy is somehow held back. We have systems and processes to allow that gratitude to expand until it's radiating very strongly. And when you pair all of this together, suddenly you're talking about an individual that was stressed and tense, and now is fully relaxed at a center of calmness, perfectly at peace, radiating gratitude, clearing obstacles, and grateful for a goal that now is very clear in their mind, right? They have a clear vision, and that only naturally moves all of us when we reach that state forward into success and into being able to share the love, right? Because with that activated heart, talk about World Love Week. If we're all activated to love, I mean, how much better would the world be if everybody had that type of activation and we're able to move forward to share and give love in tangible ways to those around us. So that's a very brief, is more of a tour really of what we do as the workout. If you were to join one of my specific webinars on this topic, then we would actually go through this in about a 15-minute session. And those in our group, every time we meet, we go through just like a martial arts class, right? You don't go to a martial arts class to just learn concepts. You actually go to practice, right? And drill. And that's what we do. We work out, and we take 10 to 15 minutes every session to go through these techniques until they're mastered, until they can be done much more quickly, perhaps in just a few seconds, until you can actually apply them in a boardroom, in a meeting, on a Zoom call, right in front of everyone, and without anyone being the wiser that internally you have this process to eliminate stress in the moment. And imagine having access to this twice a month, success activation sessions, each and every month for a year. How much benefit would that produce for you? And how much more would you be able to take care of your family? In this case, this is my family. I'm going to bypass asking permission to reveal them because they're already sitting here in front of you. But think of your own family. And even if your natural family is small, perhaps it's not as big as mine. There's 10 of us here. And of course, you can imagine how much stress can be leveraged if we're not all careful of how we relate with one another. But if with methods to achieve calmness, we're living in harmony. And your family, I might also offer, is likely beyond the natural family, the traditional family that you have, but it also extends to your friends and those that you choose to be part of your family. So my guess is that your family is much larger than just 10, perhaps it's 110. And these kind of methods just allow you to share so much more love with your family and find solutions like my daughter Maria here.
This really big house, but it was just me and it was creaking and creepy. I went through the technique that you showed me, and afterwards I felt very calm and relaxed and able to combat any weird sounds that I heard. And I went to bed and I was not scared or anxious, and I felt very at peace and ready to handle it. So I would say it was definitely a success.
And what was really cool about Maria's experience is even as she was able to clear that source of anxiety from her life, she moved forward and achieved a much higher level of success, measured in parachuting. A little bit worrisome from a parental standpoint, but it was great for her. She really moved forward in her life and had a great experience with her friend jumping out of a plane for the very first time. So the mentorship that I offer comes in two parts. First, there is a digital course that, of course, is worth its weight in gold all by itself. Even with no human contact whatsoever, if you were to engage this course, you would learn and apply a ton, and your life would completely shift. There's been a lot of talk over the World Love Week about shifting your mindset, and of course, that's very important. And there's been a lot of great speakers that specialize in that. But once your mindset is shifted and you've decided that you want to do something different and you're settled on it and you're sure and committed, well, you need a way to clear out the stress, right? Because this is likely going to be different for you than what your routines have been up to this point. And that's what the Stress to Success program offers, activating that body-mind mastery so that when that stress comes up, you can clear it and keep moving forward much faster. The real benefit is the second part of this, which is the live meetings where the group comes together, we support each other, and we move forward, developing and enhancing and strengthening that center of calmness. And when we talk about value, of course, love is not a financial thing, but if we just want to translate it all into financial terms, the benefit to any of us, and definitely I'm perceiving this benefit, is only limited by our own potential. So I put a number, very high number here, 200,000 plus, but there might be another zero here for you, or even two or more. How much would that be worth? For me, it was worth investing over 100,000 to develop the skills that I now have, and now I'm able to share and teach and give back out to others, sharing my heart with you. And because I've distilled this down, really, I've taken it to a point where it's a 10x benefit. Would it be worth 10,000 to be able to permanently shift your life and have a skill set that you would always have available to reach out and achieve a center of calmness any place, anytime? I would say for me, it was worth 10 times that much. But what if there really wasn't any concern about money? And what if you could enjoy these results and make them your own, activating relaxation whenever you need, the ability to sleep, the ability to clear headaches and all those stress symptoms, no longer a problem, emotional calmness, activating the success circuits where you know for sure that you're moving forward, opening up the gratitude engine in your life, and then eliminating those blocks that can hold us back for years, right? Performance stress, procrastination, and just simply the pain of failure, and achieving in the end mind-body mastery. I'm just thinking there's so many outcomes here that come out of this, benefits to going through this type of process, this type of system. Of course, feeling the love with less stress. But I think back to one of my clients who actually opened up a circuit of creativity in her mind just by going through this method one time, where she was able to move forward and develop these wonderful shows that she's displaying online these days, and really just created a fundamental shift where that creativity opened up and the stress eliminated, empowering her to give and receive more love in her business as well as in her personal life. Would that be enough of a solution for you to make the moves? That's the real question, because that is required implementation. It's helpful to arrive live. If folks invest in this kind of a program and they don't show up, you're not going to get any benefit, and that's not really not really my deal, right? It is super important to arrive, make the moves, engage, leverage the community, and then most importantly, dream and achieve. And if I could leave you with any one idea out of this entire talk, don't forget to dream and put effort and priority. Make a choice to dream, and then make a choice to do something with those dreams and actually bring them to achievement. So if you want to share the love that's in your heart, create a dream around that, and then go forward on that dream. As Ken keeps encouraging me, go achieve it, right? Maybe you can get a whole event done in just a week or two. I mean, that's crazy fast from my point of view. But Ken keeps showing me how to do it, and one day I will make an attempt to do the same. There's always more out there, and there's always a way to broaden our vision, and this is a way to get out of our own way and just get out there and make it happen. You might ask, with a program like this, how could I offer any kind of a guarantee? It's pretty simple. The process works. Everybody that's tried it, who implements, there's no failure. So that allows me to give a rock solid guarantee for folks that invest. If something doesn't work out, it's simple. Apparently, we weren't meant to be together. You weren't supposed to be part of the group. We just part ways. No hard feelings. But those who implement, there's the failure level is 0%. And not only that, but we have the benefit within the group of keep holding each other accountable to move forward.
DK, as an accountability partner, you're completely awesome. I've grown so much. I've learned so much from you. You keep asking me the questions. You keep asking me what else I need. You help me get past those humps of where I get stuck at. So I know that your program is amazing, and what you've shared with me and helping me get to my program and my abilities of what I'm able to share with others, it's so exciting. So anyone who gets to work with you will be enjoying those pieces and attributes that you actually bring out to us and helping us empower ourselves to empower others. So I am so excited. Thank you, DK. It's been awesome.
And of course, the collaboration that we enjoy isn't limited to simply stress elimination or removing overwhelm or anxiety from your life equation. But whatever expertise we have and share, we share that with each other and help each other move forward. So the question I have for you is, if the answer were sitting in front of you right now, how much time would you be saving not carrying that stress? And for those you might consult, what if they consulted with you to find out what your secret is, where you get that inner peace? And what if your mind was so clear that your decision making were snap quick, and you no longer had to worry about lack, but you were just overflowing with abundance, both of resources as well as love to share with others? And what if you had that love to share with your family, children, for whoever you reach out to, and wherever you find yourself being, from a position of abundance, from a place of complete calmness and inner peace? I've offered some free gifts that I believe will be here in the dashboard. But we can't work with anyone, but I would like to invite those who wish to take this process farther and deeper to consider joining us in the inner circle. We're building a group, small, intimate group, not too many folks, because we want to be able to work together and hold each other accountable. So we need to make sure that it's not too big. But for those who are interested, we do have an offer specific for World Love Week, because we're with Ken Krell, and Ken Krell's a wonderful audience, at a price that you would not be able to achieve elsewhere, simply by going to this website here, dk.grouppages.com/inner circle, where you'll find a page, simple page here like this, and you'll see the normal cost, which of course you won't have to worry about, with two options: either a one lump sum lifetime offer. Lifetime meaning as long as you wish to hang out with us, it's not going to cut off after a year, but it's always available to you. Anything and anywhere we have an activity or a meeting, you're welcome to join us. Lifetime access as well to the digital course elements and the recordings. And we also offer this because we're in a pandemic and because financial resources are stressed for many, a way to spread this out into 12 payments. Non-renewable, meaning that once you've reached your 12th payment, it's done. You're then a lifetime member, nothing more required. So this is a very special offer because Ken Corell is such a special individual, and I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to be here working with Ken, and I look forward to working with Ken further. And the other reason why this is set up like this is because I think that folks from World Love Week that might join my group will likely help spread the message that there is a solution for stress. And we can achieve higher levels of success by eliminating the stress, which empowers us to share, give, and receive more love. You just raise that love quotient out there in the world, one person at a time. So it's been, Ken, such a pleasure, and Jor as well, such a pleasure to be a part of this effort here at World Love Week. And if we have time for questions, I'd be happy to entertain whatever you might have in mind.
We do, DK. We have about 5 minutes here, so we can rock and roll. What is it typical? And I can't see the access. I can't see Facebook, so I'm going to work from the seat of my pants, as it were. What is the number one thing people ask you?
The number one thing people ask me, I get a variety of different questions. I'm gonna have to think on that.
Pick one. You don't have time to think. You got to dance, cowboy.
I get it. I think the number one question people ask me is, how am I so calm? That's the first thing they notice, right? Because I mean, the Mr. Calm thing is not just a cute name. That was actually a name given to me by somebody who says, "Why are you so calm?" Now I understand why you're so calm. How do you manage to do that? And what I just revealed here is this is the secret, right? Is that through developing this process and through applying it in my life. I mean, I applied it before I came on stage here today. So this is how I get it done.
Yeah, you definitely are that. That is absolutely for sure. You absolutely are that. The king. I would call you the king of calm.
Thanks, Ken.
No, for real. But you make it so easy, and it's your natural state. I mean, we've talked multiple times before, and yeah, you inherently, when we're in your presence, slow down, which is interesting, which is really interesting. And I learned that listen carefully, people, because here's an important lesson. When you have someone that you need to stop and pay attention to, they control the conversation, because you've got to stop and listen to them. People that are la, 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 it's easy to it's distraction. We hear so much noise all day long. But when you are able to be calm and allow space for people to understand what you're saying, you saw that earlier today with Mary Jo. Now you're seeing it with DK. They capture your attention. They capture your participation. They capture your mind, and they capture potentially your beliefs. So listen to the element of calm. It seems to be a thread today, and I'm gonna say that that's no accident for me and for my life, but it's totally true. So if you have an ability to go and to get to calmness, to get to peace, to get to relax the nervousness that is within, then absolutely you want to take yourself advantage. Take yourself advantage. That was really made sense the way I said that. Take good advantage of DK's great offer. We will have a link on the dashboard for you as well. So you didn't catch the website address, you can just go over to the World Love Week dashboard, which is worldloveweek.com/dashboard, and grab DK's offer, because it will for sure be a great thing for you. And that I can tell you. I know this guy runs with his heart first. And which is kind of hard to run that way, but you managed to do it.
It's an art form, right?
Apparently so. And how he gets it out behind that shirt, I don't know. But it is a joy to have you with us, and we're honored to have you with us as well. Looking forward to see you on our next upcoming events. Also, you bring an element of compassion and heart and goodness to everything that you touch. And that is a really important element that we're really excited to have with us. So I want to honor you. I want to thank you. And any parting words? You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
No pressure.
Just remember, no pressure.
28 now.
Just remember the equation. Higher level, pushing harder does not mean stressing more. This is an opportunity here to separate that equation. And and I just want to reiterate too, don't forget to dream. Just let your mind reach a center of calmness and just let it open and expand as if it was as wide as the sky, and just whatever flows into it, let that intuition inform you. Let that dream just drop into your lap, and then go achieve it and apply this method to take the stress out and just reach out for success and just share the love that's in your heart with everybody around you. Thanks, Ken.
You got it, DK. Thanks so much, everybody. DK Warner, thank you so much, my friend. You're awesome. Well done.
Thanks.
Okay.